What is going on, everybody? So I was coming back with another video, and today, you know what time it is. It is the mock time again. Bengal dropped a mock draft yesterday. I was alerted by Bro Schmo, so we have to talk about it. You already know, Bengal and I, we've had our history in the past, not really that much, but instances that have been people listening to the start of the video and not the end have led to interesting premature misconceptions. So we'll go into this. Obviously, he says it's still very early. We're gonna see how early how early it's gonna seem in the draft process for him. Because again, we're also seeing all this stuff for the first time. It's only been 2 weeks of college football, now three. So we're gonna see what's gonna go on. Let's have some fun. Let's kick into it. If you guys are new, like, comment, subscribe. You know what to do. Let's kick it off with the number one pick. And yes, if you guys are gonna criticize the format, it's YouTube. And you know what? Bengals doing the same type of thing. We're rocking with it. KT, number one pick. Obviously, I think that's a pretty solidified number one pick right there. Only other one I'd consider is Evan Neal as a number one pick right now of all the players in the draft. Not saying for the Lions, but of course, we know Penei Sewell is locking it down, having a pretty good year so far. Taylor Decker as well, going to be a super high-end talent. I love it. Next, number two. Let's see what happens here, because I'm thinking Evan Neal, again, this top part of the draft, I think it's a super easy one. Evan Neal is an absolute stud. I love him to death, and he is super, super, like, flexible, super amazing, he's just super. Just call it that, super. I would dare say Superman. Next, we got Spencer Rattler. It's an arguable one. I don't know if Spencer Rattler is really going to go this high. This quarterback class has shown that its top-end talent is not – there's no cream of the crop. There's a very big range from Matt Corral to Malik Willis, Spencer Rattler. You can even talk about Carson Strong. I don't think Carson Strong is up in that category, but still that name is floating around there. I don't think Spencer Rattler will go this high given the amount of talent that there is down the line. I think there are some very high-end talents like Derek Stingley, like Kyle Hamilton, like DeMarvin Leal that are just uniquely amazing that you can get that Spencer Rattler is not of that type of echelon. And honestly, we'll see what happens when it comes to Davis Mills. I don't think he's the future, but whatever. Derek Stingley is a good choice for the Jets. Again, I think that if Evan Neal's there, that's the automatic lock pick. I honestly hope the Jets continue losing so they can get Evan Neal, because that would be unfreaking believable. If they got Evan Neal and Mekhi Becton, I would be so happy for the NFL. But next, you got Malik Willis. I think that's an excellent choice right there. He's been doing a really damn good job. And the question is Daniel Jones going to be worth giving a contract? He has shown he is good enough to give a low contract, but that's not the world we live in. We don't give quarterbacks like cheap deals anymore. That's not very common. You don't see that. And especially with Daniel Jones, who's having these questions of whether he's going to be a franchise guy. I think that it's a little bit tricky when trying to say, hey, should we draft a quarterback or not? Given the talent on the board, I would say probably you can go with one. I don't think it's a problem if you have two quarterbacks in there and Daniel Jones ends up being the better one. We have seen quarterbacks get traded. It is fine. Just because it's not normal doesn't mean you can't do it. Malik Willis is somebody with an extremely high ceiling. I love him as a talent. I've loved him from the beginning. Really damn good player, and he's lighting it up. So I honestly don't think this is a bad pick. People saying that Giants should not go quarterback in the first. There are issues outside of Daniel Jones, especially with the offensive line, but there's nobody worth that pick right there. If you want to go Tyler Linderbaum, you be my guest. But that's just me right there. Next, you got Kenyon Green. That's really high. And to be honest, the Bengals did solidify their interior offensive line. You got some really good talents in this past draft there. So I don't know I don't think Kenyon Green's going to be the right option there. I think continuing to develop that defensive front rather than reaching on a lineman is probably the best move. Kenyon Green is definitely the best offensive lineman Texas A&M's had in a big while, but his questionability at tackle makes me think, well, I mean, the real issue is, can you have a right tackle? You do have good enough guys at the guards. Quentin Spain's solid enough. You got Jackson Carman. And then you have Deontay Smith, somebody who people don't even think about. was a ECU tackle that got transferred into guard from this draft this past year. Somebody who I'm a big fan of. I do like him quite a bit. So I think interior offensive line is an area you don't need to look at. And Kenyon Green's not of the level of some of the talents around there. You can even look at Tyler Linderbaum and say, hey, we should get a new center. I'd be fine with that. If you got Tyler Linderbaum right there, that is a out of left field pick if you want to go interior offensive line. I don't know if he saw that just says IOL and then went for the guy who he probably knows or thought was the best. If that's the case, then, that's a bit of an issue. But Tyler Linderbaum would be a good fit right there. You could, for me, I love going to Marvin Leal. You could even go safety here. I know you got Von Bell, Jesse Bates. But can you imagine Jesse Bates with Kyle Hamilton? I don't want to because I like the Steelers. But, hey, as a fan of the NFL, that'd be pretty damn awesome. So I think that there's a little bit of questioning that you got to do right there. Next, you got Kyle Hamilton. I think that's fine. Best player available. DeMarvin Leal, honestly, is somebody who, again, needs to be in that consideration because the Falcons have nothing. I think maybe you probably should have went DeMarvin Leal over Kyle Hamilton because, again, you did go Richie Grant in the draft. You don't need to go safety. It's DeMarvin Leal he's upper echelon tier of interior defensive linemen, and I think he's even better as an edge player. And this team needs edge presence like nobody's business. It's just weird to have both of these guys here who are supreme talents. Again, I don't think Spencer Rattler is really worth that number 3 pick right now. Next, Jackson Kirkland. This is the one that I heard about that made me want to comment on this. He's not a tackle. He's not. If you see how he suffers against power and you try to watch Liam Eichenberg and make fun of him for getting destroyed, I believe, by like Josh Uche, then you're a hypocrite. You can't think Jackson Kirkland's a tackle if you see a guy like Liam Eichenberg, who I'm pretty sure they have pretty similar measurables. They end up like they both suck against power. They're not very good with their anchor. And then I think Jackson's even worse, to be honest. It's just you can't say that Jackson's going to be a tackle. That's the bottom line. You can't. He is somebody who has the potential. He has shown that he could be a tackle, but not an NFL nor a starting NFL caliber tackle. He has excellent mobility. He has pretty damn good post-snap processing. I just think that he belongs on the interior. So, honestly, getting Malik Willis, who, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty short, might not be the right move to pair him with a guy like Jackson Kirkland, especially when you have Billy Price as center. I just don't think that is a good move whatsoever. Next is DeMarvin Leal. I would absolutely love to see Derek Brown and DeMarvin Leal paired up right there. That would just be the Panthers have a good enough damn team as it is. You don't need to give them even more power. That would just be sickening to my stomach, but also in a very fun and good way. Next, you got Ahmad Gardner. Sauce Gardner, I'm pretty much fine with this pick. Again, you guys know me. I got 3 guys right there, Booth, Elam, Gardner. They're all within a very tight range. It's whoever you think fits best, so I'm not going to go against it. Sauce Gardner is a very mean, very aggressive type of corner that fits really well into the scheme. I love it. I honestly love this pick. So right now, I'm really just kind of hating on these two. Potentially this one, if you're going to assume that that's an actual pick. And then I got a question right there. Honestly, not that bad compared to some of the mocks that I've been looking at so far. Next, you got Matt Corral. I really like it. I do like this pick a lot. Very high-end talent. Very Fitz magic-y with the fact that he can just go to total shit magic versus Fitz magic. Or I said shit magic. Regardless, you guys know what I mean. Very hot and cold. Matt Corral, my high school quarterback. Love him to death. He's a good guy. He's actually a good guy. He does care about his teammates. So somebody I have a lot of respect for. Somebody who I know his teammates have a lot of respect for as well. He can get a little cocky sometimes, but in Washington with Ron Rivera, that is such a perfect location. He has a solid-ass offensive line. I think it's just the right landing spot for him. Raiders getting Aiden Hutchinson. That is honestly such a logical move, but do you want to go edge again? Like they do have it honestly depends on free agency moves, right? If they keep Yannick Ngakoue there and Max Crosby, I think that's good enough. If they lose Max Crosby, they are not going to lose Max Crosby. If they lose Yannick Ngakoue, we can talk about it. But I think that's a little bit too much of power versus that nice balance that they have there right now. A little bit weird. You do have Nick Martin at center, something where I'm going to continue to push back on, saying, hey, where's Tyler Linderbaum in this? I think Tyler Linderbaum is a top-end talent. I understand if you don't always think that way, but he is the best center in the class. That is undisputable. I don't think anybody can dispute that. This team desperately needs a center, and I think that it's perfect. He is undersized, which might be a reason why it's maybe not a perfect fit right here for the Raiders, but that's fine. Next, you got Kyrie Elon. I do like this pick a lot. Yeah, we went before like Sauce Gardner, even Andrew Booth, but Andrew Booth was not somebody who I thought was like the right guy. Kyrie Elam is much more built for what they're looking for in that Patrick Peterson mold. So I do like that pick quite a bit. Charles Cross is next, and no. These past two tackle picks, no. Charles Cross has shown major holes in his game. Extremely crap anchor, right? He just does not. He's been getting embarrassed, right? I don't think that this might be where I don't know if Bengals watched enough Mississippi State play, because there's no way in hell he's worth this right now. Maybe in the long run, if he shows some progression over the season, 100%. I'm not going to count that out. But the way he's been playing right now, he might be a third round pick. I remember I had him up there like around like he was my tackle too for a little bit. And then I started watching him play and I was like, this was regression, legit regression. You had a full offseason as a starter and you regressed. And it wasn't right. Like Charles Cross just looked bad and it wasn't against great talent. It just looked really bad. So very much against that. I mean, you might as well put damn Julian Davenport right there if you're going to be doing that. Sam Howell is an interesting pick. Honestly, I kind of forgot that he was on the board. I think he's the best talent at quarterback that's left. So that's fine. I'm not gonna bitch about it. And it's a team that, if you don't want to pay Teddy Bridgewater, sure. You know what? Sam Howell is an interesting option to be able to get a high ceiling quarterback and a low budget, like for a low budget. So I do like that quite a bit, to be honest. Very intriguing. I think Sam Howell's going to be a bit higher of a pick, though. If we're going to be honest, he's going to be a bit higher of a pick. Just because he had one bad game this year. He's been lighting it up. He's been doing a pretty damn good job. Again, people have bad games. And his bad game was the start of the season, so got everybody on a sour note. This guy was arguably the number one pick in the draft 4 weeks ago. There's no reason for him to be continuing to fall to quarterback 5 just because of that. Next, Garrett Wilson. I don't like this pick at all. Actually, I think I just don't see what Garrett Wilson adds to the table. You have guys who are excellent separators, excellent guys after the catch. And he is just that. Like there's nothing special about Garrett Wilson compared to there's nothing else separate him from the wide receiver core. It's just like what I was thinking when they got Rager. It's like, why do you need a specialist? They need an all-around guy. Now they have kind of all-around dudes. You need a bigger, hulkier threat. If you get yourself a guy like Drake London on the outside, you get yourself like a Traylon Burks if you think he can be on the outside, 100%. 100%. I think that's an excellent move, getting a bigger dude to be on the outside, because Travis Fulgham was that role, and we all know what happened there. So Garrett Wilson is just, I guess you're going best player available, but you can't do that for too long. Chris Olave, really damn good pick. I like that. Weidermeyer to the Cowboys. I don't think Weidermeyer's a first-round pick. I think that's a bit of an oversight. I also don't think the Cowboys are going to be looking to upgrade that position after giving a contract, especially in the first round. I think that they might be looking at the defensive side of things because, again, that was a pretty heavy focus in this last draft. And they're starting to make progressions toward it. We see how damn good that offense is. Now, if you want to go a tackle, we could start talking about the successor to Tyron Smith. But I don't think there's anybody in this class that's worth it yet. I think that this is this is just a clicking whatever I think like one of the top needs are type of deal. I don't think it's the right move. There's a lot of tight ends that I think are honestly better than Weidermeyer, or you can't disagree that there are some that are close to Weidermeyer. You look at Jaleel Billingsley, Wiley, Likely, Stogner, even Dulcich. I mean, for Christ's sakes, I'm trying to find him right here. The cat out of Colorado. I don't even see him on this list, which is also disrespectful. Please remind me that in the comments section. I'm bugging right now, and it's like right there. But even that guy, I just don't get it. I don't get why. There's just a lot of second and third round quality tight ends, and you're choosing one in the first. Christian Harris, this is going to be interesting because, to be honest, he is replacing an Alabama linebacker, probably in Rashawn Evans, not Jenkins. Interesting. I don't think it's a bad pick at all, though. I do quite like it. Christian Harris, very agile, very athletic, very high upside. So big fan of that. There's a lot to like about it. Next pick, we can look at Andrew Booth, another really solid pick right there. That we're just hitting that top need. The problem is, again, we can't project free agency. So we look at the needs, we do our analysis on it, and then we can see maybe like, oh, well, we think that they will get this guy back, this guy, this guy. We can't project who's going to go where yet. Because again, we don't know who's even going to be signed. That's going to cause some things. So for right now, I think Andrew Booth's an excellent signing. Regardless if they get a corner or not in free agency, I think it's the right move. Darren Mumford to the Steelers, I think, is a pretty short-sighted move. He is an offensive guard right now. And if I'm going to be 100% honest, this might be where there's a lapse of tape watching, because he's definitely in that mold of offensive guard right now. And you're not going to take an offensive guard and move him back to offensive tackle at number 21 overall. That would be a very short-sighted and very stupid move. So I assume Bengal doesn't know he's at guard. And if he does, then it's just a bad move. So I'm going to just play the ignorance card and just be like, hey, he doesn't know. Then under that assumption, going after a tackle is not a terrible idea at all. I think it's a good idea. Just you got to think. I mean, you can go Zion Nelson or Sean Ryan there, but you can't go Thayer Munford. You can't go Thayer Munford for that spot, especially given his age. Now he's got Drake Jackson. Honestly, like, you know what? Screw it. I can't stand Drake Jackson. If you're gonna get Drake Jackson, why not get my boy Adam Anderson? I really don't get it. What's better about Drake Jackson than Adam Anderson? Name one thing. One thing. I don't think his highlight level plays are even as good. I don't think there's one thing about Drake Jackson that's better. Not even coverage, nothing. Zip. I don't understand the love for Drake Jackson. John Mechie, another overrated ass player. I mean, I have some connections with like Slade Bolden on the team. They don't even think he's as good, nearly as good as the three before him. So why the hell is he going in the first round? That's my question. Like, he's not even close to as good. The only reason he's ever putting up yards is because there's no one really else at the moment. There's a kid who, like, I believe he wears number 1. He's showing some talent. I think his name's Williams. Just watch that guy for development. But John Mechie is just your poor man's, I think he's honestly a poor man's Jerry Jeudy, like a really poor man's Jerry Jeudy. So not a big fan of that. Trent McDuffie, do like that pick for the Jets. It does seem very Robert Saleh-esque cornerback right there. Bigger dude, he's a solid guy overall. Daxton Hill is next. I think that if you're going to choose Daxton Hill as a safety, you're losing sight of the potential for Brandon Joseph on the Baltimore Ravens or Jordan Battle. I think that's a little bit short-sighted. That's just my honest opinion. Daxton Hill's not as good as those guys. And I can argue he's not as good as Jalen Catalon, who's a big reason why Arkansas is continuing to be extremely dominant. Nakobe Dean is next. Ooh. Wow. I don't know how you could say Nakobe Dean is, I mean, just because he's been getting sacks doesn't mean that he is a first-round linebacker. You got Henry Teoteo from Alabama. You still have Mike Jones from LSU, who was formerly Clemson. I was about to say Clemson. Brandon Smith, I would probably look into Kobe Dean versus Brandon Smith. Like, there are linebackers there that are legitimately way better. So I don't know what's up with the Nakobe Dean hype right now. I've seen him as well. It's not just Bengal. I've seen it before. George Karlaftis to the Browns, similar to like Rondale Moore. The talent level is unquestionable. The question is, will he stay healthy? And that's going to be the test long run. So I think rookie year, if he gets drafted to the Browns, he has potential for rookie of the year, like defensive rookie of the year. I do like that pick quite a bit in the short term. Long term, I would question it. Jordan Davis is next. I don't think the Bills literally took two edges that they are going to be rotating around on the interior of the defensive line as well. I don't like this idea of Jordan Davis being here. Take Brandon Joseph, Tyler Linderbaum, any of these dudes. I don't get what the aversion to those guys are, because I think that even a dude living under a rock understands the potential for both of those players. And I mean, even TDN doesn't allow him to fall past 28, for Christ's sake. So really weird to me. Brandon Smith's next. I don't know if I like that pick. There's a lot of really good edge talents on the board that are being extremely disrespected. I mean, I forgot to bring up Devin Lloyd, better than Nakobe Dean. Owen Popo, probably arguably around the level of Nakobe Dean. Same thing with Brandon Smith. There are so many linebackers that are better. I don't get what the love is for Brent Smith. If you look at his PFF grades, even you want to just look at the PFF grades rather than the actual game, he's not that good. He really isn't. He has flashes that are pretty solid. I mean, he's a long ways away from Micah Parsons. Carson Strong is next, and I don't know how much I like that. To be honest, I don't think I like that much. It's a weird one to say the least. If you're gonna get Carson Strong there, sure, go for it. It's the end of the first. You get to see what this kid has, but he doesn't have any weapons either. And Jared Goff's actually having a pretty good season. He is a former Super Bowl quarterback. I don't really get the aversion to keeping a Super Bowl quarterback on the roster. Darian Kendrick is next. I think that is honestly a solid ass pick. You still have guys who I'd take over it, but the secondary is kind of a weakness right now for the Buccaneers, and Jordan Davis isn't on the board. So I think that would be pretty solid right there. And ending off the draft, you got Adam Anderson, edge out of Georgia, which shows that you do not know what the Kansas City Chiefs like to draft on the defense, because they usually go for the bigger dudes at the edge position. Regardless, I love the value. That is going to be my thoughts on the video. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you later. Peace.